Hello everybody, welcome to the holiday season and welcome to this month's episode of What's My House Worth. I am Ryan McDonald with Hawthorne Real Estate. We are a design build firm here in Needham. We are also real estate brokers, and as always I'm here with Rob Tickton. Rob, how are you doing this month?
I'm good, Ryan. Great introduction, but I think I'll take over from here.
Probably Thanks. A good idea.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. This, of course, as Ryan mentioned, is What's My House Worth. We are going to review all the single-family sales in Needham for the month of November. But before we jump in, we do what we like to always do, Ryan, and that's take a look at the big picture. And as we look at the big picture for the month of November, we see 27 sales, Ryan. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's refreshing, Rob. Remember last month we had 15 sales, so we had a lot of filler time to talk about on the show. This month we're just going to be whipping through sales data one after another. But 15 sales last month, 27 this month. It's a healthy number. The average list price down a little bit to just under $1 million with an average sale price at $995, both down from just over $1 million in the prior month, but still very healthy in their numbers there. And then the 99.9% of list for our average sale price, that's up from the prior month at 98.7, but 96% of the original list, which is dipping down a little bit.
Yeah, that is a little low. Yep.
Which I think is a function of having a very, very strong market in the early months of the year, and then people sort of trying to capitalize that by maybe stretching themselves a little bit on their listing prices coming out of the chutes as the market has softened as we got into fall and now approaching winter.
Agreed, and then also as the summer months approach, then dropping those prices to generate a sale.
Get their houses moved. So, but our average price per square foot reflects that as well, down to $340. We've been in the $360 range. We were at $360 last month. $340 is still a really good number, obviously. Average days on market of 41. That is down from last month's 45. So, I mean, still a healthy market, but I mean, showing signs of kind of coming back to earth after a really strong spring.
Right, and you saw there 12 sales in November of 2013, so obviously significantly better than that. We'll see a little bit later why November seems to be the month of unpredictability.
Right.
But before we do that, we're going to look at the trailing 6 months, and we see a little spike here coming from, as you mentioned, from October. We're up in November. Something tells me we're going to be dipping kind of back down a little bit in December. But nevertheless, it's, like we said, a good number and seems to kind of be where we'd want it to be at this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost say it's somewhat surprising. And I think the next slide will kind of speak to that, just in the fact that 27 is a pretty big number for November.
Right, and there's that kind of unpredictable trend we're talking about. Usually I feel like our months have been pretty consistent over years past, but maybe November is a wild card month.
That's why it's a W, you can see.
Yeah, so that's a win.
Right.
It's a win.
It's a wild card, it's a win. It's whenever you see a W, when you're looking at a graph, you know there's unpredictability to it.
Correct. I'm already excited about November of 2015.
Right, what's it gonna bring?
I don't know. Something tells me it's gonna be down, and then we're gonna have an N, I think. But we can get to the letters a little bit later. First, let's get to the individual sales in November. We're going to start low and work our way up in terms of sale price, not necessarily in terms of quality. 336 Central Ave is our first listing. This, of course, on the corner of Central and John. And we have a little bit of knowledge about this listing, Ryan, wouldn't you say?
Yes, this was a listing that our office had. And it's like you always talk about when you're the broker and you want to be objective and kind of stay out of the emotional side of a real estate transaction, but this one was very difficult because the wonderful people, the sellers, and they went through a lot. The house under agreement 3 times, deals falling through for a myriad of different reasons. But ultimately, they were able to get it done and get it sold at $505, which I think honestly is a good price for this property.
I agree.
When it came out, it may have been a little bit high. It was, as we just alluded to, it was maybe on the heels of a really strong spring market, and just but the 505 is a good number. It's the house had some quirks to it. It has kind of a captured bedroom, but not totally captured, as it had a staircase that went up to it. But I think for the price, it's moved right in. It is on the corner of Central, as you mentioned, but I think at 505, this is a win.
Right. The corner of Central, it's also on the corner of John.
Corner of John, right? It's on Central on the corner of John.
Right. I agree. I think it's a good price for that number, and I think, in deals such as these where you have, a lot of things going on and buyers dropping out, you can learn a lot about a seller and how they are able to handle it and how much they trust their real estate agent. And, you can really put that relationship to the test, and it's always nice to see it hold up. Next up is 121 Reservoir Street. You talk about kind of comparing these two. Well, before we talk about that, how about the interior photo as the primary photo?
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
And if you look at the specs of this house, or at least this is my take on this, you look at the specs of this house in a vacuum without knowing the location. You talk about 1,800 square feet, and you talk about 3 beds, 2.5 baths, and you look at some of the pictures of the interior, and I think this is a house that's probably going to be priced in the 7s.
Yep.
And so when you realize that it's sold for $522, we can actually kind of put a number on a discount for being located on Reservoir Street, which, as you know, the backyard essentially abuts 128.
Yep.
So you're talking about basically saving $200,000 as a buyer if you don't mind giving up the fact that you're so close to 128. That's a big number.
It absolutely is. And I think with this also, to me, it is an example of a job well done by the listing agent as well as the seller. So recognizing that that's a hard house to price. Because as you mentioned, it's nice inside. It's on a big lot, 20,000 square foot lot. It has that detached garage that can offer you a variety of different possibilities. It was very large.
Yep.
And that's a hard one to price. And this one, they got it done in less than 20 days. It didn't quite go for asking, which tells me they didn't underprice it.
Yep.
So I think this was a sale that was well orchestrated.
Yeah, I would agree. And usually you would have a seller in this situation who would probably have an inflated sense of what their house is worth. So you're right. Kudos to both the agent as well as the seller.
Right, because it does take both to sort of get that price right.
Do you see when that house was built?
I did not.
Yeah, 1988.
Okay.
Yeah, that was more recent than I would have thought.
All right.
Something I noticed.
That's fun.
Yeah, Pleasant. 41 Pleasant Street
I
is...
get it. That's a segue.
Yeah. 41 Pleasant Street is next up. And Ryan, I like this price for a 9,583 square foot lot in this location.
Yeah, I mean, this is it has like a farmhouse feel, but right in the heart of your walk to town Needham location. It's, as the listing stated, walkable to Needham Center.
And that's legit.
Agreed.
We see the term walkable thrown around
sometimes. Right. They don't. Yeah. So I mean, but it's still, you're looking at almost $425 a foot for this property. It's on the smaller side. It's 1,300 square feet. It's only 2 bedrooms. So to say 563 is a good price. It's anything you're looking at in this location with mid 5s, you're immediately thinking good price. But the lot's not huge, and the house does have some current limitations. I think it might be a historical house as well. And there are also some plantings that are being removed. We're not sure which ones.
Right.
But the sentimental ones are gone.
The sentimental ones are easiest spot. 2-car detached garage on that one as well. 25 Whiting Way is the next house on our list, and this listing had me befuddled from day one.
Okay.
Right. So it was listed by one broker, and then it kind of came off the market, and then it came back on with a different broker, and it was listed as both kind of a land sale or a sale as well as a new construction sale. So it seemed like they were kind of going a few different ways with it, and not sure ultimately what's going to happen with this lot. I can tell you that 620 seems a twinge high to me.
If it's a land sale.
If it's a land, well, either way. I mean, I had a chance to see the inside of the house. It says 3 beds on the listing sheet. As far as I'm concerned, it's 2 upstairs, because I feel like the 3rd bed they were using essentially as a dining room. So
that can get uncomfortable if you're trying to eat and somebody's taking a nap.
Correct.
But yeah, I agree with you, Rob. I mean, at 620, I was looking at it from the perspective of whether it is a land sale, and on an 8,200 square foot lot, buying it at 620, you're not leaving yourself as a developer with a lot of room to build a nice house. And what often happens
in big house.
Well, big and elegantly finished. It's just there just isn't it's a tight little deal. So I'm hoping that it's a homeowner who's happy with it and wants to make some improvements and live there for a long time.
Which it could be. We'll find out soon enough, as we always have our eye on Olin Woods. 1 Elizabeth Circle is we like cul-de-sacs.
We do.
This is a location that's in between kind of Nahoyden and Great Plain, right tucked away back there. Big lot though, Ryan, 14,000 plus square feet.
Yes, this is a land sale, and this house was in dire straits, so it was bought by a builder, so we should expect to see redevelopment there, and it's 678.
You like that price?
Well, I mean, for that location, it kind of gives you pause, but then you think about, all right, it's a cul-de-sac and it's 14,000 square feet, so yeah, I think it's probably not a terrible number. But the house that's going to be built there is definitely going to be the most expensive house on the block.
All right, staying on that side of Highland Ave, we move west towards 85 McIntosh Avenue. And, you kind of look at this listing, Ryan, at least I did. Square footage, beds, baths, location, lot size. I would say 705 seems about right.
I do. I agree with you, and I think this was well priced as well at $699. And this is another example of when the house is worth low sevens, price it at $699. Boom, 6 days you get low sevens. So I think 6 months ago this house would have been priced in the mid sevens. I think they might have gotten it. Just I looked back at some of the splits that were sold in sort of the April, May, June timeframe, and with very similar specs. And we're getting higher numbers, but it's the market has definitely softened, and I think this one was well executed as well.
Nice backyard with that house, a lot of privacy. But I don't know if there were any majestic 100-year-old oaks, as there were located at the next listing on our list, which is 25 Lindbergh Avenue. I like the 100-year-old oaks.
Yeah. Are you counting rings there? Like, how do you know?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how you know. Do you?
Well, I think don't you have to chop them down and count the rings?
There's probably other ways to.
Oh.
You're not nailing it down to the year.
Forensics?
I don't know. We can find out about that, I suppose.
Maybe the new owner has delved into that.
I doubt it.
All right. Well, this one, getting back to business,
Yes.
is a colonial, nice location on the backside of Mitchell School. This one was definitely priced competitively with hopes of multiple offers, and it got them.
Mission accomplished.
Yep. So 5 days on the market sells for, $40,000 over asking, which is never unappreciated by the seller. It's a tight lot. It's 8,800 square feet. So I think this one is primed for a homeowner to come in. It's very dated inside, so they're going to do cosmetics at a minimum.
Right.
And then possibly an expansion of the property into the rear. But I like it. You're getting in at 7 in a really very nice neighborhood with some upside.
Good location for sure. 27 Powderhouse Circle is a listing that I think you're going to have a few things to say about, because as we look at the listing sheet for this,
Yikes.
a little bit of red writing.
Yeah.
Ready, Ryan? Go.
This one I kind of struggle with it because it was on the market for a while. It was clearly overpriced when it came out. So is it really something that you can say is a good deal for the seller? But I still think it is at $725. Because when you see these things sometimes when we're looking at these houses and the specs just don't seem to add up, so you go back and you kind of look at how they compare with similar homes that have sold with similar specs. And just looking back 18 months looking at average sales prices for houses that are between 1,400 and 1,700 square feet, 3 beds, 1.5 baths, and you're looking at 630s. So this one, just on those numbers alone, is you're almost $100,000 over the average sale in that of homes in that capacity. And in this one, when you dig into it a little deeper, it's dated, and it probably needs a little bit of updating. There's no master bathroom, there's no air conditioning, things of that nature. So you're still doing some work to it. So I think that at this number, the seller probably got the better end of the deal.
All right. Noted. It's your deal of the month.
It is my deal of the month.
50 Gilbert Road is not my deal of the month, but I do have a few things to say about this listing.
Can't wait to hear.
So we've touched on this before, where I was able to see this house before it went on the market, and it was a situation where the homeowner was trying to determine whether he was better off selling to a builder or listing it, because in his opinion the house was worth in the sevens to a homeowner, and it was also worth in the sevens to a builder. So potentially he could have avoided a lot of the pain involved with listing your house by just selling directly to a builder, no contingencies. So he's kind of on the fence on that one, trying to get his arms around what's the best play. And in seeing this one, it was clear to me, and I conveyed this to him, that a builder was not going to pay in the sevens for this house. A builder was going to pay in the sixes, and probably not much higher than mid sixes, and that if the house is worth mid sevens to a homeowner, the play here is to list the house.
Because the spread is worth the hassle.
Absolutely. The spread was $100,000, and
Yeah.
the hassle certainly is worth less than that.
Right.
And lo and behold, he did list it, and he got a pretty good number for it, $765.
I would agree.
It was a lot of space in that house, but it was, I don't know. It was a good number, $765.
Yeah. I mean, for $765, you've got a 4-bedroom, but one of the beds is captured, as you noted on the slide, and it's 2,300 square feet, but it is on a 13,000 square foot lot, which is always I think a pretty good value.
Yeah, good value. But I think the lesson learned here is that there are a lot of people, I feel like, in this situation, they don't know if they should list or they sell to a builder, and that's something that people, namely us, can help them in making that decision.
That's true.
Right? It's a little plug there, Ryan.
Good.
So we call that a business. 91 Dawson Drive. We're climbing over the eights here. This one sells for $805,000. Last updated in the 90s, Ryan.
Yes, I like this house. I like this sale. I think it's a good price for the buyer. This house has a lot of potential. It's as you mentioned, updated in the 90s, so probably could use a little bit more here and there. Really nice location in a nice neighborhood, just outside of off of Broadmeadow Road, and a good sized lot. The house is on the smaller side. It's only 2,000 square feet. Comparatively to some of the houses selling the eights, but colonial with upside.
All right. Liked it. Good. I liked 19 Ware Road, which is next up. It was a nicely finished house. There were a couple things you didn't love about it, I know, namely the upstairs, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know this for certain, but I believe this was originally a ranch. And so the second floor, the bedrooms are small. The master in particular is very long and narrow. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't leave you with a lot of room on either side once you put furniture in it. But the downstairs was nice, and the lot is tremendous. It's a beautiful lot. It's been painstakingly maintained by the original, the previous owner. A lot of gardens, some vegetable, some flower, some plant. But the question is, is that daunting to a new owner? It's like,
right.
Can I handle this? And we'll be interested to see what that translates into.
Usually it translates into a yard that's not kept as well.
Right, or cleared. Right. But it is a nice property, and I think the price reflects it.
All right, that was 19 Ware Road. Next up is 19 Bradford Street. So we're sticking with the 19 theme.
Okay.
And actually the house before 19 Ware was 91 Dawson. But anyway, I digress. 19 Bradford Street. This was a great location.
Yes.
A really desirable listing as it came on the market. 4 beds, 3 baths, 2,500 square feet, ladder street, walk to town, good sized lot, garage, and clearly it was priced well because it sold for $845. It was listed for $845, and this seems to be the perfect number for this listing. It needed a lot of work.
It did.
And some of the bedrooms, it was, the fourth bedroom, I should say, was significantly smaller than the other 3. But
I think the listing sheet made mention of that.
It did, and there was, I think, a 5th room that was also small. So it was priced right.
Yeah, the only thing that I noticed here is the listing sheet even called this to attention was the living space. So public record has this as 2077 versus 2554, and it does. You correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you were in it. Was there a finished basement? There wasn't a finished attic because they made mention of the possibility of a finished attic. So that 500 square foot of difference is not insignificant in my opinion.
Right. No, it wasn't in the basement, and it wasn't in the attic.
So the 2554 is in public record as the total living area, which is it does take into account those unfinished spaces, and the finished area is 2077. So that one, you wonder if the buyer was aware of that prior to purchase.
Right, and that's the role of the buyer and the role of their, once it gets disclosed on a listing sheet, for the buyer and the buyer's agent.
You should always, rule of thumb, always, anytime you're going to make an offer on a house, check public record. It's not always right, but it definitely will at least open a discussion for, hey, why is there a difference? And then you can try to dig into it and maybe figure it out. So.
Agreed. Good point, Ryan.
Thanks.
68 Wilshire Park is also a ladder street, although it's down many rungs.
Yep.
And this is a house you and I both saw. It was originally listed for $925. Then there was a reduction. Then it sells. All new windows, Ryan.
That's good.
Yeah, we like windows. Yep. And 4 bedrooms. It's on paper anyway. $875 seems like a good number there.
Yeah, and I like what they did. Like a lot of times you have these homes that have these galley kitchens and they feel very closed in. So this one has a galley kitchen, but they opened it up to the family room and the eating area, which. It's still a galley kitchen. It's still what it is, but it felt doesn't feel so enclosed. And so I thought that was a nice feature. It was updated, but there's still some work to do here. The mechanicals are a little dated, air conditioning, etc. And I think the price, they went out at a certain number, and then it kind of came back to what it was truly worth, and the market spoke.
So that's 68 Wilshire Park. Next up is also 68 Brewster.
Wow. I know. This is really interesting.
I'm just noticing this too.
Yeah.
68 Brewster Drive. Welcome Nolan Woods, Ryan.
Yeah.
This was it was a house that was nicely finished, big, felt really spacious, and I think you and I both agreed that when it came on for $875,000, it was going to sell quickly, and lo and behold, it sells for $20,100 more than list.
Right. I think walking out of it after seeing it on the broker tour, essentially texted a client and said, you have basically a couple of days to get in and out of this one. So, and it went very quickly. As you said, updated, had a lot of nice features, really nice view of the conservation, laying out the family room. I like that house a lot.
397 Dedham Ave is a lot of space, Ryan, for under $1 million.
True.
Over 5,000 square feet for under $1 million, albeit just barely under $1 million. Specifically $1 under $1 million. But I think probably maybe the location had something to do with that, right? A little bit of a busier road, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a busy road. It's not in a neighborhood in that side of Dedham, on Dedham Ave. It's sold for 82% of its original list. I really think it was just maybe a little aggressive, obviously, out of the gates.
Sure.
And then you're just in a scramble to try to reduce, and get to that right number.
Right. Basically sells for $9,000. Well, actually $10,000 more than what it sold for in 2009.
Yep.
14 Lynn Road. Kind of a sneaky good location. I like this street.
Okay.
It's a nice little neighborhood. It's Elliott, and we had a positive experience there walking through that house.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of space.
2 beds on the lower level, 4 beds total. Second floor has a master bathroom. I mean, it had some updates. It's a lot of space and probably it's a lot of money.
Right. Okay. 127 Grosvenor sells for 1,055. This house is at kind of a corner there.
Yeah, it's
right?
where
So
Grosvenor and Broadmeadow split from each other.
Yeah,
or
it's
where
kind of
Grosvenor starts, really.
A tricky lot, if you
Yeah.
will. But hey.
But large, 14,000 square feet.
And Ryan, it checks all your boxes.
It sure does. Yeah, I mean, I like this in comparison to Lynn. Even it's $30,000 more than Lynn, but I think this is, even for less space, might be a better buy.
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan. I'd love to talk more about it, but I'm kind of fixated on the next listing. As you know, it is my
All right.
it is my deal of the month.
Good.
And so I'm just getting revved up here to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
32 Pilgrim Road.
Go.
All right. I thought this was a really, really good deal for the buyer. I mean, this was a newer, younger home, tons of space, good neighborhood, quiet street. I mean, was it worth 1,375? No. But I don't think it's worth 1,125 either.
Right,
I think
it's a big spread.
I would have thought the value would have been somewhere in the middle. I really
Yep.
thought it would have been in the 1.2s. I think this was a timing issue. I think if this house had been listed either in previous spring or hopefully this coming spring, I think you get a much better number here. I thought the buyer did really well and probably came in low and maybe made the offer attractive in other ways. But I thought they got a really good deal there for 32 Pilgrim Road.
Yep.
107 Fair Oaks Park. Land sale?
I don't know. It could go either way. It'd be a shame because this is a beautiful house. There's a lot to like about it, but literally hasn't been touched in probably 50 years.
Yeah.
So it needs a lot of work. So whoever's buying it at close to 1.2, you have a long way to go. But the location, as we know, is fantastic.
Fantastic. Yes, we see that many times on listings that it's been one of Boston's
It
best streets
is.
and everything else. The Avenue, 170 Central Avenue, was Tuscan inspired. That house sells for 1,317. If I remember correctly, the floors needed to get redone there, right?
Yeah,
That was the big thing there.
this is an interesting talking point. Briefly, the floors were in really rough shape, but the seller was out in front of that, and they offered on the listing sheet a $5,500 credit towards refinishing, which I thought was the right move because it is really hard to refinish your floors, even though the house would have looked 100 times better. It's really hard to do logistically if you're living in a house with tons of furniture, which this house had.
Yeah.
Said all that, I think this is a lot of money for this house. I do.
Yeah, you think, and with that being said, so you think they did the right thing by doing the credit?
I do. I think with the floors, with other things, I think maybe you just do the work. But with the floors are really challenging when you're living in a house.
All right, 71 Emerson Road. Nothing wrong with the floors there. That's a new construction home set right about the middle of Emerson.
Actually, this was on the corner of Emerson and High Rock.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're correct, which would explain why the yard was fully fenced.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that one before we
Nope.
jump over to the next one?
Nope, let's keep going.
All right, next one, 18 Nonet Road.
Yeah, didn't see it, Rob. It's new construction, sold during construction, I believe. It's got a really nice walk-in closet, from what I gather.
Yeah, I'm missing it right now. I was surprised, 139. That's I feel like they're forging new ground there in that neighborhood.
Well, I thought that too, but if you remember, there was one on Evelyn that was in the 1.4s, so this isn't quite up there. I had the same thought, and then I looked into it a little bit. So this one's kind of tucked in right underneath that one.
All right, so basically I have about 4 minutes to correct you.
All right, go.
I don't know if I'm correcting you on this one. 29
Yeah.
Hawthorne Ave, Ryan.
I mean,
A little bit of familiarity.
yeah, as we're getting low on time, I would love to talk for an hour about this one.
I bet you would.
This was one of my favorite houses that we've ever developed. I loved it. It's not big. It shows that you don't have to build a big, large house to still get a good value, a good number. It's got a lot of character to it for new construction, and the homeowners thrilled, and we couldn't be happier with it.
Okay, that sells for 1402.
Yep.
55 Ryberry Hill Way sells for 1420.
Yeah, this one's 5,500 square feet. This is the opposite of 29 Hawthorne.
Right.
It's you're getting square footage, and you're not getting character, design, amenities, etc. And you're just so as a buyer in the new construction market, it's one or the other, if not in rarely both. You're either buying big if you want, or you're buying smaller in quality. So you have to kind of be aware of that.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yep.
28 Robinwood is on a big lot, Ryan. It's a neighborhood that's seen a little bit of new construction over the last year or so. 21,780 square foot lot.
Yep, love this. Only 4,000 square feet. Great number, 1420 for only 4,000 square feet. When we say only, it's kind of
It only on the market for 5 days.
yeah. So nice job there.
176 Mark Tree. We're on some big lots now. I think that has a lot to do with it. People like to have that space.
And there aren't that many of these lots in Needham, so
No.
it's when you see something like that, you jump on it. I mean, this one sells for 1,525. Builder bought it for 595, so that was probably a pretty good deal for that builder.
Yeah, indeed. You ready for the big seller?
Yeah, go for it.
You sure?
I think.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the big seller is next up. It is 104 Glendale Road. This was a lot that was spun off from a previous listing, right? That was, at the time, came on as either one lot or two lots.
Right. Yeah, this was a cool property. And
This is a cool neighborhood.
It is. And I mean, we like it obviously because of the corner of Glendale and Glendale, which I just can never get over. But this house is tasteful, it's nicely done, fits the neighborhood, and I think, is deserving of its 1.7 tag.
What are your thoughts on the 3-car garage?
I mean, I personally don't have a need for a 3-car garage, but maybe as children get older and cars get added to the mix, then yeah, I mean, I'm sure it can come in handy, no question.
Yeah.
But you have to have the lot for it because it takes up a lot of space, and you also have to work it in aesthetically to your property. So definitely you need a large lot in order to accommodate.
I love the 3-car garage.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get you into one someday.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Good.
Market snapshot time. Ryan, this is really putting your finger on the pulse of the Needham market.
Taking the temperature.
All right, let's do it. Everybody's shutting down for the winter?
Yep, hunkering down.
I don't blame them.
No, I don't either.
68 active single-family listings as opposed to 97 last month. Under agreement, at least we're holding firm there.
Right,
So
it's a much better percentage.
Yeah, maybe December will be a good month for us to report on sales after all.
Okay.
Average list price, it's always, I feel like, in that 1.3 to 1.4 range.
Right.
But the average days on market really kind of jumped out at me. Like some people need to get rid of some inventory.
Right. Maybe this is the time as a buyer. If you've had you've been on the sidelines and you've got your eye on something, maybe jump in because you have people that are definitely staring at 3 cold months ahead with carrying costs, not even going to be able to move. It could be the time to make an offer.
True. Although the people staring at those things might also be stubborn people because they've had their house on the market for 160 days. Average list price per square foot, $334. So Ryan, how'd you enjoy being on that side of the desk?
I mean, I definitely, got my signals crossed a couple times, Rob, but, we persevered, I think.
Right. Well, I feel like you usually get your signals crossed anyway.
So nothing new.
I'm going to give away the contact info. You're going to send us off.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. If anybody wants to get a hold of us, whether they have any questions or they're curious if their house is worth more to a buyer or a homeowner or a builder, they can call us at 781-707-6564. Again, 781-707-6564. They can also email us at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com. How'd I do?
Good. Well, they can also accost us on the street, as many folks do.
Yeah.
That's
please.
always fun.
Don't hesitate to say hello to us. We love it, especially Ryan.
All right,
Ryan,
everybody.
send off time.
It was a pleasure being on this side of the table this month. Happy holidays. Enjoy the weather as it's starting to get colder. See you next month, everybody.
Bye.